messages that you're putting out to get people to pay attention to the fact that, hey, everybody, I have my Kickstarter campaign going on? Does it feel like that? This is something that comes up a lot for creators. It's a frustration that I know a lot of creators have during their launch, especially in the middle of their Kickstarter launch. And so on this video, we're going to talk about why that is, what the real problem is, and most importantly, what you do about it. Hey, everybody. I'm Tyler James. I'm the publisher of Comics Tribe, and I've used Kickstarter to help build my comics, graphic novels, and children's book publishing business. And inside my program, Comics Launch Pro, I work with other comic creators and writers and artists and crowdfunders to build their audiences and launch successful crowdfunding projects for them so that they can build their own creative businesses. And so I do have a resource for you if you are someone who is in this on this journey. Please go and grab the free comic book Kickstarter roadmap that I put together for some help planning your first or next successful Kickstarter launch. There are lots of tips and tactics and things that you can use to get you going. It's available at comicslaunch.com/roadmap. All right. What we're talking about today is when it feels like no one is seeing your Kickstarter promotion. This is a frustration that a lot of Comics Launch Pro members sometimes will share, creators that email and listen to the podcast and ask for tips. It feels like you're doing all the things, right? It feels like you're posting and you're tweeting and you're sharing your project. Maybe you're emailing your list, but it just feels like no one's seeing your campaign. When you go and hit refresh on your page, the campaign isn't budging. You're not getting more backers. You're not getting more funding coming in. You don't see those numbers going up. And the more, it almost sometimes it feels like the more you put out, the less you get from everything that you put out, and you start feeling invisible, and you start feeling why bother. And then if you're not careful, you're saying, okay, is it just me? And you start looking on Kickstarter, and then you go and see all the other hot campaigns that are crushing it. And you're saying to yourself, oh crap, Scott Snyder just launched a campaign. He's the biggest name and he's the biggest writer in all of comics. How am I going to compete with him? Or you're like, oh, David Pepos, he just launched an awesome Kickstarter campaign. David Pepos, I messed up his name. David Pepos, he just launched an awesome campaign for like this really great high concept with a take on Wizard of Oz, and the art looks amazing. Oh my God, how am I going to compete with that? Or you might be like, oh man, Newton Lillebois, he just launched another Crescent City Monsters launch, and this is the best one he's ever had. And wow, he's got the momentum. And the real problem going on when you find yourself in this position where it feels like no one's seeing your Kickstarter promotion, no one cares, it's not working, etc., is that these feelings get you, they come from and they derive from you paying attention to the wrong stuff. And as a result of those feelings, you keep paying more attention to the wrong stuff. And you're either not looking at any metrics at all, or you're paying attention to the wrong metrics and you're getting far away from the data. All right. And those feelings of inadequacy, those feelings like your campaign promotion is just not working, like they're coming from largely two places. One, it's that comparing your campaign and what you're doing to what everyone else is doing. And the result of that comparisonitis is, you're having these thoughts like, his campaign is doing better than mine. Her campaign is rocking it, and mine isn't. They're better than me. They have more audiences than me. They're more deserving of me. Kickstarter's like not promoting me. I'm not on the front page. When I'm posting these social campaigns, like my posts aren't getting views. Their posts are getting views. Like that all is taking your eye off the prize. The other place where these feelings are coming is you're just comparing your results to your expectations of what was going to happen. And the crazy thing is that the same creators who will launch and on the beginning of their launch will be like, whoa, this launch got off to a better start than I expected. They quickly normalize those amazing like launch day results. And then by the, a week later, 2 weeks later into the launch, like their results are so far from what they started training themselves to expect that they're like, oh, it's not as good as yesterday, or not as good. I'm not going to be as good as my last launch, or well, yeah, sure, I've done all right, but it's not good to other things that I have done in the past, or I could do, or it's not where I wanted it to be, right? And so these are all things that, again, are not where your focus should be going, because your results come from where you focus and the actions that you take as a result of where you focus. And the message that I try to instill every day to Comics Launch Pros, and 2 or 3 times as hard for Comics Launch Pros that are in the middle of a Kickstarter launch, is that you should just be focusing on those true important metrics of your campaign and taking actions to improve those metrics, and like focus on the right levers and push the right levers, and leave all that emotion and feelings and other nonsense that's going to take you down a wrong rabbit hole. Like, leave that aside. All right. And so this is why, a lot of the stuff that I do, and my philosophy as a teaching is a little bit different than some other people, is I try to encourage everyone to focus on the metrics behind the big metrics that everyone pays attention to. Everyone pays attention to funding. Everyone pays attention to how many backers you have. Like, those are the things that Kickstarter posts front and center. They're big, they're bold, they're splashy. But what far less people pay attention to, and what far less crowdfunders, when they launch Kickstarter campaigns, even bother to do, is to install the one little line of Google Analytics code so that they can answer one simple question. Do you know how many human beings actually visited your Kickstarter page in the last 24 hours? All right. Do you know that? The only way you can know that currently is if you have Google Analytics installed in your page. And I've done videos. You can search for them on how you do that. We're not going to talk about that here. But that's a absolutely crucial piece of information, so that you can focus on the right stuff and get away from this feelings nonsense, and just be able to answer the question, well, it doesn't matter if I feel like no one's seeing my promotion. My feelings are irrelevant. What actually happened? Did people see my promotions, and did people get to my Kickstarter page? And if so, how many? And then a second question that you should know or be aware of is, do you know, on average, how many human beings need to hit your Kickstarter page in order for you to get one backer? All right. If you don't know that, then you're sort of shooting in the dark here. And it can also, like, you can feel like, well, I tweeted 100 times and I got no backers. Okay. Did those 100 tweets result in anybody actually going to your Kickstarter page? That's a more important thing. If yes, and you got 100 people to your Kickstarter page, that's good information to know. But if 100 tweets led to no traffic, or next to no traffic, or only 5 people, then you found something out. You need more than 5 people to hit your Kickstarter page in order for you to be confident about getting a backer. All right. And then, I am not by nature a data-driven and a metrics person. And that's why, I try to teach only the bare essentials, or the bare minimums, that allow me to keep going and allow me to go forward. But another thing, that when you do spend a little bit of time focusing on the right metrics and the right performance indicators, there's another metric that I absolutely love to dive into. And that's, what does it actually cost in either time or dollars to get one person to your Kickstarter page? And what is it actually worth in dollars or in funding to get a single person to your Kickstarter page? During the launch that I recently wrapped up, every single person that hit my page on average was worth the average of value of a single visitor to hit my Kickstarter page, a unique visitor to hit my Kickstarter page over the course of that launch. The average value of that was $4.50. All right. That's not a backer. That's just taking, like, here's how much funding we raised, divide that by how much traffic we got to the page to make that happen. I had this $4.50 metric. And so when you know that, when you have that, like, it's not emotional, and it helps you be less emotional about some of the decisions you make. It helps me be less emotional about hiring help to get more attention, to get more traffic, and to get more messaging out there and get it out more consistently. It makes me less emotional about spending a little bit of spending some budget on Facebook ads, because I know I can get clicks to my site for significantly cheaper than $4.50 per person that it will take to get to my site. All right. At every step of the imagination, or every step of the process, when it comes to this stuff, getting away from those feelings and just focusing on the data is the thing that'll actually help you break through and move your project forward. All right. And so just, a simple little roadmap for you to get away from that is, first, install Google Analytics to your Kickstarter page. Second, during your Kickstarter launch, and you can put up a little whiteboard. I have Comics Launch Pros can download this little launch journal that I put together for them that's included in their launch execution guide, which is a key component of what we have inside of Comics Launch Pro for them. But I encourage you, every single day, track how many people are hitting your page every single day. Then you also need to be taking action to get people to your Kickstarter page every single day. You can be taking organic action, which are free actions. Those are the posting, the sharing, stuff that we're writing articles, doing podcast interviews, going live. Like, those are the free actions that require your time investment and your energy investment but that's considered organic. Or you could be taking paid action. You could be buying paid traffic, stuff that requires your money, but doesn't necessarily, after you set it up, require much energy and time from you. And so you're taking action every single day, and then you got to look at the results from that action, right? Did you get 100 people to your Kickstarter page each and every day of your campaign? Because the truth is, if you're not getting at least 100 people to your Kickstarter page each and every day, then you have no reason to assume that you should be getting backers every single day. And it really can be just that simple. Now, sometimes you need far less than 100 people. Sometimes you need, significantly less. Clay Adams' example, he someone that I've worked with inside of Comics Launch Pro. He's done some crunched some of the numbers on his campaigns, and he found for one of his campaigns he had a 20% conversion rate, meaning that for every 5 people that hit his Kickstarter campaign during his launch, one of them backed, 1 out of 5. Like, that's actually a phenomenal conversion rate. In fact, it's so high that it was important to make sure that Clay knows, hey, you got to push this thing a little bit farther, because that conversion rate is so high that you're not getting it in front of enough people. And what Clay has found is with that campaign in particular, that was actually one of his great conversion rate, but total funding was less because he just didn't get it in front of enough people. He's since gotten campaigns in front of more people. That conversion rate can come down a little bit, but the end result is a little bit higher. All right. On the $100,000 plus crowdfunding launch that I did, it also, at the time, it was my lowest conversion rate, but my biggest performance, and that's going to happen. Like, in order to get those bigger crowdfunding efforts, you got to drive a lot more traffic. And when you drive a lot more traffic, it's not just people who know, like, and trust you, friends, family, etc. You get a lot more people that, hey, this is the first time they're discovering you. And so your conversion rates are going to go down a little bit lower. But especially in that middle of your campaign, like in the middle stretch of your campaign, your conversion rates are going to be the lowest they are through the entire campaign. And so they might drop down to 1 or 2%, which means if you're not getting 100 people to your Kickstarter page each and every day, then that's your only job. That's your only job. But so you got to do that every day. You're taking actions to get people to your Kickstarter page, and then you're going back. You're pulling up your Google Analytics. You're looking at your Kickstarter information, whatever information you can get, but the information that you're going to get from Google Analytics, you can get on a daily basis. The stuff Kickstarter the stuff Kickstarter gives you, it's just going to wrap up the whole campaign. All right. And so, instead of being, are people seeing this? I'm posting a lot on Instagram. I'm not getting any traction. I'm feeling bad about this. I'm spending time focusing on what other people's doing. No, just take actions, look at the results from those actions, take note of where people are actually coming from and where the funding is actually coming from. And you can see that. You can see where the people are coming from, where the funding is coming from, and then do more of that stuff, right? Save your feelings, your emotions for the work that you create, and let the data drive your marketing actions, and you will have much more fun and be much more successful with your crowdfunding efforts. Hope that helps. Hope that was a message that someone needed to see. Hope that you got some value from that. And I hope that if you haven't grabbed it already and you're not yet inside the Comics Launch Pro program, go ahead and download that free Successful Comic Book Kickstarter Roadmap Guide for you. I put it together for you to help you walk you through this process and help you check off some boxes so that you can make things happen for you. But I'm so glad to be able to spend just a little bit of time with you today. Thank you so much for watching. Can't wait to see what you all launch next.